I am continuing my treatment, and though none of us can know what the future holds, I remain grateful for the joy my family brings. This Christmas, I wish you strength and hope. May you stay positive, whatever comes.
The air outside Westminster Abbey felt heavier than usual. Not cold, not gloomy, but thick with anticipation. Cameras lined the walkway, fans pressed against barricades, and royal reporters whispered like they were standing at the edge of history. Because everyone knew tonight wasn't just another Christmas carol service. It was Catherine's night. Her first major appearance in weeks, and the world was waiting. As the royal car slowly rolled up, everything froze. Even the crowd noise softened like someone had pressed mute on reality. And then Catherine stepped out. Not rushed, not fragile, but calm, composed, graceful. And instantly the crowd erupted. People cried, grown adults gasped, phone screens shot up like a sea of stars, because this wasn't just Catherine attending a Christmas event. This was her choosing to stand before the world, despite everything she's been navigating privately. Her smile wasn't the bright, effortless expression we've seen a million times. No, tonight it was meaningful, gentle, almost grateful. And for many watching, that made it even more emotional. Inside the Abbey, the ambiance was magical. Glowing candles, soft carols, and an atmosphere thick with reverence. But every eye followed Catherine as she walked down the aisle. Even the choir turned their heads, as if acknowledging her courage. And then the moment came. Halfway through the program, Catherine stepped forward to introduce a special reading. Her tone was soft, steady, but unmistakably full of emotion. She spoke of hope, of strength, of gratitude, and the power of community during difficult times. And without revealing a single private detail, she made the world feel like she was letting them in, gently, respectfully, and on her terms. Reporters immediately typed like their keyboards were on fire. Royal commentators whispered that this was one of the most significant public messages from any royal in years. But the real shock came after the broadcast, when Kensington Palace released a brief statement confirming that Catherine is continuing her treatment, is deeply grateful for public support, and is embracing every message of hope sent her way. No medical claims, no dramatic specifics, just clarity, honesty, and dignity. Social media exploded instantly. Hashtags trended worldwide. Fans across continents posted their own messages of support, and even celebrities chimed in with admiration. But while the public was moved to tears, inside the royal circle, the mood was far more complex, because Catherine's message wasn't just an update, it was a statement, a warning, a signal that she remains a central pillar of the monarchy. And certain people didn't love that. The moment Catherine's message aired, every royal household felt the shift. Phones rang non-stop. Advisors whispered behind closed doors. Communications teams went into overdrive. Because Catherine had done something extremely rare. She controlled the narrative completely. Within minutes, palace insiders revealed that even senior royals were deeply moved by her appearance. But there was something else behind their reactions, something unspoken. A silent realization that the public's loyalty wasn't just strong, it was ferocious. Even those who'd tried to undermine her position in recent years, through leaks, whispers, or strategically timed headlines, found themselves cornered. Because tonight proved what the world already knew. Catherine isn't just respected, she's beloved, unshakably, globally. And that level of devotion shifts power. Meanwhile, insiders say King Charles watched the service privately, away from the cameras. Some sources claimed he was deeply proud. Others hinted he was unexpectedly emotional. But one thing was certain. He understood the symbolism.
Catherine stepping forward during a vulnerable chapter wasn't just bravery, it was leadership. Even royal reporters who are notoriously critical fell silent. Every headline focused on her strength and grace. Every panel discussion praised her message. Every morning show led with the same question: is Catherine now the emotional center of the royal family? But while most of the monarchy welcomed the overwhelming support, not everyone was celebrating. Because across the ocean, a very different reaction was unfolding. Certain commentators, the ones who build their careers on royal drama, immediately went into spin mode. Analysts claimed that a surge of last-minute op-eds, rushed interviews, and expert commentary suddenly hit the airwaves, attempting to redirect attention. But it didn't work, not even close. Catherine's appearance overshadowed everything. Even major political stories were briefly bumped from primetime coverage because networks reported that viewer engagement skyrocketed whenever her segment aired.
And that's when a new narrative began forming. One the palace could feel rising but couldn't entirely control. A queen in the making. It wasn't a disrespect to King Charles. It wasn't a dismissal of Prince William. It was simply the truth everyone could feel. Her compassion, her calm, her resilience. Tonight, they shined brighter than ever. And for some factions in the media landscape, that was a nightmare. Because Catherine's grace left no room for negativity, no oxygen for scandal, no fuel for controversy. Which meant one thing: those who profit from royal chaos, they had a problem.
Within hours, major networks rolled out panel after panel to analyze Catherine's message. Ratings soared. Clips dominated TikTok and YouTube, and the hashtags "We Love You, Catherine" and "Keep Shining, Catherine" topped global trends. But behind the scenes, the media world was in chaos. Some outlets, the ones that spent years painting Catherine in a certain narrative, suddenly flipped. Overnight, critics became admirers. Detractors became supporters. PR teams scrambled to reposition their tone. It was textbook reputation management at hyperspeed. Why? Because Catherine's message didn't just touch hearts, it exposed agendas. Journalists who used to push negative angles were now terrified of public backlash. Millions of viewers called out old articles, old headlines, old smears, demanding apologies. Editors panicked. Producers restructured segments. Newscasters tiptoed like they were walking through a minefield. And then came the tension.
Royal insiders revealed that some media personalities attempted to shift focus back to conflict by speculating wildly about her condition, only for the public to shut it down instantly. Nobody wanted gossip. Nobody wanted drama. People wanted Catherine to feel supported, not dissected. It was one of the few times in modern royal history where the public's voice was louder than the media's megaphone. Even entertainment reporters admitted privately, this is the strongest pro-royal sentiment we've seen in decades. Meanwhile, Kensington Palace released a single follow-up line. Her Royal Highness is focusing on healing, family, and hope. Short, clear. No fuel for speculation, exactly what the public respected. But that also meant outside forces had nothing to twist, nothing to sensationalize, and that created panic among those who depend on royal scandals to stay relevant. Some commentators grew noticeably irritated on air. Others tried to redirect attention to old controversies. But viewers weren't interested. Not tonight. Not after what they witnessed. Catherine had unified the conversation in a way few royals could. And this unexpected unity created ripples inside the royal institution, because when the world rallies behind a single figure so fiercely, power dynamics shift, quietly but significantly. Even senior aides admitted that Catherine's appearance re-centered public loyalty around the Wales family. The monarchy felt it. The media felt it. Certain individuals far from the palace felt it too. And that brewing discomfort, it was about to turn into something bigger. The day after the Christmas carol service, something extraordinary happened. Thousands of handwritten cards began arriving at royal offices. Messages from children, grandparents, cancer survivors, young mothers, people from every country and background, all sending love, strength, and prayers. Staff had to create a dedicated sorting area just for Catherine's letters. But it wasn't the volume that struck insiders. It was the tone. Every message sounded deeply personal, as if people weren't writing to a duchess or future queen. They were writing to a friend they admired. And that emotional connection reshaped everything. Royal watchers began openly discussing the possibility that Catherine may one day become the most beloved queen since Queen Elizabeth II. Not out of duty, not out of tradition, but out of genuine public affection. Even international leaders sent private notes of support. Celebrities posted heartfelt messages. Charities she supports reported record-breaking donations within hours. This wasn't sympathy, it was solidarity. But quietly, another conversation emerged behind palace walls. Catherine's message didn't just reassure the nation, it stabilized the monarchy. Her presence reminded the world why the royal family still holds cultural weight, not because of power or wealth, but because of connection, service, and humanity. As the service replayed on television throughout the weekend, viewers noticed something deeper in her final words, a message woven subtly into her speech.
And while Catherine continues to navigate her treatment privately, one thing became undeniable. She didn't step forward to show strength. She stepped forward to show gratitude, and that made her stronger than ever. By Monday morning, the narrative shifted completely. Not Catherine battles adversity, not Catherine faces challenges, but Catherine leads with courage. And that single shift changed everything, politically, socially, culturally. Even Hollywood insiders admitted, no other public figure could command this level of global empathy. As the week ended, paparazzi caught a final glimpse of Catherine leaving Windsor in a quiet car. No waves, no staged photos, just a woman embracing her journey privately, gracefully, and with the love of millions behind her. And that's when the world realized this isn't just Catherine's chapter. It's the beginning of a legacy, one built on resilience, dignity, and unbreakable hope. Because every candle lit inside Westminster Abbey that night didn't just illuminate a ceremony. It illuminated a future. A royal future shaped by compassion, courage, and Catherine's unwavering grace.